Just starting out here, I want to look at the first period. I think it was the only period in which they had a higher shot output. You know, they had that 2-on-1 breakaway, some opportunities there and going the board 1-0. When you look at the start to the game, what did you assess for those first 20 minutes, and ultimately, what do you think led to them jumping out there to that start?
I didn't like any of our first, to be quite honest. It was poor compete, poor execution. We talked about the game all week, the importance of it, and you give credit to Northern. They scored on their opportunities. You know you Yeah, it just clearly wasn't good enough for our group.
Do you want me to just keep rapid fire and pass it around maybe the guys?
You have some questions. Yeah,
Okay,
just give them.
cool, cool. Um, so with this being the final series before the break, you have one more opportunity to bounce back tomorrow. Is there any extra emphasis on that, or what do you make of essentially the final game here before you all
Yeah, well,
wrap up the season?
we got to have a much better effort, don't we? Off it, it's um, yeah. There's no alternative. It's we saw it last weekend in glimpses of it where we had the switch on and switch off, and you can't play desperate hockey. We had our opportunities with power plays in the third. We didn't capitalize on them off it, and there's no other alternative tomorrow. It's a must win for our group.
And speaking on that third period, it was you all fall down there to that 3-0 gap, but battle back, pull back to 3-2. You mentioned there the power play opportunities had extra potential to potentially add more. But what did you make out of the fight, out of the group, out of the last 20 minutes, and maybe any positives that you saw out of there, or maybe what you would take away from that final stretch?
Well, yeah, I'll have to take a look at video, but we didn't do enough to get to the inside. Up until we had some power plays, we didn't really generate a lot of zone time, a lot of grind time. We got to do a much better job, getting inside the dots. Going in that third period, we're 47% on the face-off, so that's always an indication of your willingness to battle and compete. It's obviously not just on center; it's on wingers and D man. That's your first 50-50 puck, and yeah, we were chasing. So we have to take a big look in the mirror here, tonight before we go to bed and figure out what it is we want to be. Like I say to our group, we take two steps forward, then one step back, and we have to be a much more mature group. We're at the halfway point where certain returners have to elevate, buy in better, new players have to buy in better, and execution needs to be better.
Appreciate it, Coach. One minute.
Coach, did you feel like coming in that you had the energy that you wanted from this group coming into this game in particular, like throughout practice?
Well, yeah, I thought we had a good week of practice, and we talked about it a couple times this week. I think you and I did off it, and it was it's been on the docket and the talk, and we met with the leadership group on Monday regarding the importance of the weekend, and yeah, but we again we didn't live up to it. Credit to them, it was their first win. They should feel good about it. They did what they needed to win at the end of the day, and the goalie played really well down the stretch. And real credit to them and their staff and team. And now tomorrow's a new day. We got to come out, with we have to be the cage dog with our backs to the wall. We got to be the ones setting the pace and the physicality. And we didn't hit anybody tonight, so that normally what happens. And when you're missing a couple guys there like Goose and Neats, in the back end, you see how effective they are out there.
Did you feel like there was anything positive really from that before the 14-minute mark of the third? That's when it seemed like leading into that first power play chance that you guys started to really push them. But
did you see much? You can be honest. Probably not, right? It's all right. I didn't see much, right? Like, it was very blah. Like nobody, there was no fight in us. There was no, there's a lot of guys talking like they wanted to play hard and play right, off it. A lot of guys, complaining, about wanting interference calls, and that instead of just putting their energy and working and playing, off it. So, yeah, we got to continue to learn and dig, and and they said this loss will only be, truly, if we understand it and get it by tomorrow's, not even outcome, but by tomorrow's effort and compete and battle.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned fight. There was a couple of guys that we noticed had pretty good games today, at least we thought. Jack Blake being one of them, had an assist, had some pretty nice plays, and Tanner Scott as well, an inclusion in the lineup today. Just who did you feel like had the best games for you guys today and kind of a rough game?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say who had best games. Even like watching D, it's tough, as a coach, you're kind of watching the whole dynamics of it. And it's nice to see Blakey, do a nice job getting down that wall and getting over to Connor Levis net front. But like knows where Connor scored from. Where did Brody Waters score from? Both in the blue paint. Where's all the rest of our forwards outside the dot circling around? They go to the net and they get rewarded. It's a pretty simple game, right? And it was good for Tanner. I got a little bit hard there with the power plays penalty kill, especially in the third for him. But we put him back out about the 5-minute mark, had him probably play for 10 minutes, but had really good energy and compete. So both those guys, for not playing a ton of minutes, did a nice job.
It seemed like about 5.5 minutes of power play there that they strung together. Those penalties seemed like more of a net front presence, especially. Just how did you feel about that power play today and how well it operated in crunch time?
Yeah, we didn't get any. We didn't execute, right? We didn't finish. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's about getting timely power plays, right? And we had our chances. The power play had their chance to tie it up. They had theirs. We had good kills off it, right? And we had our opportunities, and we didn't bury it, and we have to be. We talked last week. Our power play and penalty kill has been strong, and it needs to be. You think of every game, if you can kind of get one power play goal a game, well, that's when it keeps you in it. You're tied playing right now. We didn't do our part on the power play.
Coach, kind of just tonight, were there more issues on like kind of just the mental side, really? Like, what is your stance on that? And if it was more physical either, but was it a mental or physical game?
No, I don't know about mental. Did you already interview the guys? Have you talked to our guys yet? Oh, no? Oh, because that'd be a good question for them. You should interview players and ask them. At the end of the day, it's nothing. They outplayed us. They're the better hockey club, right? They were more prepared, more willingness, more battle tested. We got out-coached. I got out-coached, and that's the way it goes.
Coach, the Wildcats blocked a total of 14 shots throughout the game. What can your team do better tomorrow to get shots through their players and their defenses?
Yeah, probably got to shoot a little faster. Got to move our feet, find lanes. Not everyone has to be on net. Lively board, short side. Use a trap release. If you're getting a puck from the point and you have to get your head up and make a play, you're probably too slow. You should already be, pre-scanning that and knowing what your options are. It's a righty coming out lefty. Do I get a lane to the middle? Do I got to go back down the wall? Can I push the puck? Do I just got to touch it back behind the trapezoid? But if we're not playing fast like that, then you're going to have 14 block shots.
Coach, I think it was with about 6.5 minutes left in the game. Palmer takes a pretty big hit, goes down, able to keep playing. How scary is it as a coach to watch your goaltender take a big shot like that?
Yeah, you never want to see anybody down on the ice. To be quite honest, we're trying to think about our next face-off play, off it, and obviously I know he's a tough player, Palms, and I don't even know what happened. Obviously, he finished, off it, so it was good to see him bounce back up. But yeah, it's I haven't even seen the hit yet or the collision, so I couldn't even tell you, what anything happens there. But it's nice to see him back playing.
Coach, how did you feel like Palms played today? Especially the first two where he was left on kind of an island, a 2-on-1,
yeah.
and a big breakaway. Just how did you feel like he fared today against Northern?
Yeah, he made some big saves, right? They scored the one short side on him, high blocker off him, and then the one in the third, we didn't defend that rush at all. And unfortunately, I think it was Blakey might have lost an edge and kind of ran into him. So not only did we not defend the rush, we had even worse luck because of nothing of Jack's fault, but when you just kind of, lose an edge and take out your goalie, they get an easy tap. And so, we were, but again, has nothing to do with luck. We make our own opportunities. We there's a lot of things there on that ship that we should have been staying inside the dots, should have managed pucks a little better. And again, I thought we gave up a few too many odd man rushes.
What do you want to see tomorrow in the second game against Northern to try and save the weekend, if there is anything that you feel that can save this weekend?
Well, I like to see us play our game. You know, it's like, again, as I said to the guys in between period, it has nothing to do structurally. It has nothing to do with the semantics. It has nothing to do with, it has to do with that locker room deciding how they want to play with a consistent effort night in and night out. There's only so much we can do. I always say as coaches, like, we don't have a joystick, a remote control playing. This is a game where guys have to elevate. Players have to decide if they want to be pro hockey players after. Right? Every day is an evaluation period. It's on-demand performance, I tell them. There's NHL scouts here tonight, right? That might be your one opportunity. So I always ask them, like, you don't have time from an individual standpoint to just have a mediocre game. We play 36 games. Right? We're not in an 80-game season like the National Hockey League, or 68 like the CHL, where you might have one off night, or a 4 and 5, right? Like, it's Friday, Saturday, you got to get ready for. So to me, I know, maybe because when I played, like, I didn't have to worry about anybody to motivate. Like, I was ready to go. Right? If I had an opportunity to be in the lineup, I was going to do whatever I had to do to help us win the game. Eat pucks, finish checks, be great on the bench, get pucks out, 30-second shifts, perfect. And for us, we have a lot of guys that I think lately have taken ice time for granted. That's not going to be the case anymore. And it doesn't matter who you are in our lineup. I said all along, we don't have an All-American in our lineup, do we, right now? We have a 20-goal scorer out there? No. So everybody's going to earn their right to be in that lineup, and I'm going to coach that way, and you're going to get on-demand performance, and your minutes are going to be predicated on your effort and execution. Period.